Hello and welcome. I'm James Milan and I'm here in the studio with Adam Chapdelaine, our town manager, and we're here to talk about the unprecedented amount of snow that we have all been dealing with over the last few weeks and the fact that more is forecast in the near future. So Adam, obviously there's snow everywhere. Everybody is experiencing the effects of it daily. So can you just give us an idea of what the plan going forward here is now?
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to come in and give this message out to the public. So the past couple weeks, as you mentioned, unprecedented amount of snow. No one's joking when we say there's 6 feet of snow outside, because it literally is just, I think, a quarter of an inch short of 6 feet. So outside of the storms, what we've been focusing on is getting the main roads as clear and as wide as possible. And that's really taken the form of some overnight efforts that we've put on Mass Ave. So you'll see, starting at the Cambridge line, we've started to clear out Mass Ave to provide more width, both for driving and for parking, so that we can ease traffic and transit in the morning. After that, we've been focusing on routes to schools. So after cleaning out the immediate school sites, we then have priority tiers radiating out from the schools, where we open up crosswalks, sidewalks, and make sure that the routes that the kids walk to schools are safe. So that's where we are now. We're still working on Mass Ave. We're working a little bit on Broadway, focusing on those routes to schools. After that, we're taking a look at the weekend. We know there's a forecasted storm. It's probably going to be plowable. We don't know if it's 6, 12, a little bit more than 12. So we want to make sure that we moderate the use of resources appropriately so that we're ready for that storm. And by resources, I mean manpower and the hours that they've been working, as well as salt, to make sure that we're ready for that storm. Going forward, looking at next week, we know we've got a situation where roads are very narrow all over town. We have a town-wide parking ban except for Mass Ave and Broadway, and it's really solely for reasons of public safety, to make sure that we can get ambulances and fire engines down the streets if we need to. So looking forward to next week, we are going to use public safety. We're going to use the fire chief and the police chief and their resources to really guide us as to where we need to start getting the roads wider, so that we can consider allowing parking and make sure that we have a safe situation across town. So once we get through that weekend storm, we're going to start to prioritize work in the neighborhoods. We're not going to widen every neighborhood street. We'd probably take until it was all melted to do that. But we're going to try to start prioritizing, communicate with the residents, and start to try to alleviate some of the burden that everyone's feeling.
Obviously, all of this snow removal and all the other work that town officials are doing will, in the end, cost money. So yes. How are we going to pay for this? What is the financial impact likely to be for Arlington residents?
So the snow budget for FY15, this current fiscal year, was $771,000. So we used that up and more through the blizzard. And since the event that qualified officially as a meteorological blizzard. But we always have a plan in place for snow and ice overages. So there's a few things that the state allows a city or town to deficit spend for, and then to raise what they deficit spent in the following fiscal year on the tax rate, and snow and ice removal is one of them. And that's because of the fluctuations. Right. I think 3 or 4 years ago, we spent about $500,000 on snow removal. Last year, we spent $1.8. So there's dramatic fluctuations in what you spend. So we have that $700,000+ in the budget. We then set aside in next year's budget in anticipation of possibly spending up to $500,000. So we have that. And then we also have an operating reserve fund that annually is funded at $1 million. And that's not just for snow and ice, but it can be used for snow and ice. So we basically have 3 tiers of ability to try to cover snow and ice costs. If this trend continues, there could reach a point where we have exhausted the reserves even that we've put aside. But right now, working with the Finance Committee and with DPW monitoring the costs, we do have resources available to be able to pay for the removal that we're incurring.
That's very reassuring.
So with all the frustrations out there and the inconveniences that are certainly there, if you see someone from DPW, smile at them, thank them. They've been working countless hours, putting in all their efforts to do the best they can. And the situation being what it is, sometimes doesn't always result in what the resident wants or what any of us want, but they are really, really working hard. And if you have that opportunity to say thank you, I think it'd be well deserved.
For ACMi and Arlington Public News, this is James Milan. Thanks for joining us.